When my ex showed up at my door in tears, begging for a second chance, I didn't expect my fiancée to walk in, smile, and wrap her arm around my neck like I belonged to her. For a second, I couldn't breathe, not because of shock, but because of how calm Mara looked. Her fingers rested against my collar like she was claiming territory, her eyes never leaving Lena's trembling face. The air between us crackled, grief, guilt, and something colder. Lena whispered, "Ethan, please. I made a mistake." But Mara's voice cut through like silk over glass. "He's moved on. Haven't you, love?" Her tone wasn't asking. It was a command, wrapped in warmth. "And for reasons I still don't understand." I nodded. That was the moment I realized love doesn't always hold you, it can cage you, too. After Lena left, I wasn't really living, just existing. My apartment felt like a museum of what we used to be, her coffee mug on the counter, her handwriting on sticky notes, that stupid scarf she forgot on purpose so she'd have a reason to come back. But she never did. I spent months drifting through days like fog. Work, home, silence. I told myself I was fine, that people heal. But healing doesn't happen when you keep checking your phone for a message that never comes. That's when Mara appeared. We met at a networking event I almost didn't attend. She wasn't like anyone else in that room, everyone else talked loud and looked past you. Mara looked through you. She had this stillness, like she didn't need to prove anything. When I stumbled through an introduction, she laughed softly and said, "You look like someone who's been through a storm." I told her she wasn't wrong. She didn't pry. She just smiled, touched my arm briefly, and said, "Then let me buy you a drink. You look like you deserve one." That night, we talked for hours, about nothing and everything. She had this way of making the world feel smaller, like every noise faded when she spoke. I hadn't laughed like that since before Lena. Over the next few weeks, Mara became a constant. She texted me every morning, checked if I'd eaten, remembered the smallest details. I thought it was kindness. Maybe it was. Or maybe it was something else. She rebuilt me in ways I didn't even know I was broken. When I doubted myself, she'd cut me off mid-sentence. "Ethan, stop. You're better than that." When I hesitated to apply for a promotion, she pushed me. "You're not meant to stay small. Don't you dare settle." Her belief in me was intoxicating. Every time she smiled at me with that quiet certainty, I felt seen again, like I mattered. We started spending every weekend together. Coffee at her favorite cafe on Sundays, morning runs she insisted on, even though I hated running, movie nights where she picked the films but always claimed they were, for me. It felt like peace. Like stability. Until it started feeling like control. It was subtle at first, how she'd order for me at restaurants, laughing off my choices as unhealthy or too plain. She'd joke, "You really need someone to look after you, huh?" I'd laugh too, because what else was I supposed to do? When friends asked me to hang out, she'd always have a reason for me not to. "You've been working too much. They don't really understand you. Let's just stay in tonight, I'll cook." She wasn't wrong. She never yelled, never demanded. She simply made decisions before I even thought to make them. And somehow, it felt good. Dependence sneaks in quietly. I started checking with her before making plans. Started waiting for her opinion before buying things. Even started dressing the way she liked, button-downs, neutral tones, clean cuts. She'd smile and say, "Now that's my man." I used to think love was freedom. With Mara, love was gravity. She pulled me in so completely that I stopped resisting. When she proposed, yes, she proposed, it wasn't in some grand romantic way. It was in the middle of dinner, between bites of pasta. She just looked up at me and said, "We both know I'm not letting you go. So, should we make it official?" I laughed. She didn't. Her eyes softened. You don't need to think about it, Ethan. You already belong here. And she was right. At least, that's what I told myself. By the time the ring was on my finger, I'd convinced myself it was love, the kind that heals you, not the kind that traps you. Looking back now, I realize Mara didn't just find me after the storm. She was calm before the next one. It started with the phone. One night, I came out of the shower to find Mara sitting on the couch, scrolling through my messages. My phone glowed in her hand like a confession I hadn't made yet. When she noticed me, she didn't flinch. She just smiled and said, "Relax, love. I was just checking something." "Checking what?" I asked, trying to keep my tone even. "Just making sure no one's taking advantage of you. You're too trusting, Ethan." She set the phone down and walked over, wrapping her arms around me. Her skin was warm, her voice soft against my ear. "You don't have to worry. I'll always protect us." It should have comforted me. Instead, I felt something cold and invisible wrap around my ribs. After that, she started doing it more often, unlocking my phone with the password she'd somehow memorized, scrolling, swiping, pretending it was nothing. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself this was what love looked like when you'd been betrayed before. But some nights, I'd wake up and find her staring at me in the dark, her hand on my chest, her thumb tracing slow circles like she was claiming me in sleep. Then the message came. It was a Sunday morning, and Mara had gone for her usual yoga class. I was sipping coffee, half distracted, when my phone buzzed. Lena. I hadn't seen her name in over a year. My heart stuttered. The text was short, trembling with apology. "Ethan, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need to talk. Please. I owe you an explanation." I stared at the screen for a long time. Every instinct screamed not to answer. But another voice, smaller, older, whispered that I needed closure. Before I could decide, I heard keys at the door. Mara walked in, hair damp from the rain, eyes sharp even before she spoke. "You look pale. Is everything okay?" "Yeah," I said too quickly. "Just tired." She tilted her head. Tired, or hiding something? It was a joke, at least, it sounded like one, but her gaze didn't waver. She moved closer, pressing a kiss to my temple. "You know you can tell me anything, right? I hate secrets." Her words sank deeper than they should have. I deleted the message. Or tried to. But even as the thread disappeared, the weight of it stayed. That night, I dreamed of Lena's face, tearful, apologetic, and woke to find Mara's arm draped across my chest like a lock. Days passed, but I couldn't shake it. At work, during meetings, even while Mara texted me her usual reminders, eat lunch, drink water, love you, I kept thinking about that single line, "I owe you an explanation." One evening, Mara and I were cooking dinner together. She stood beside me, slicing vegetables with calm precision. "You've been distant lately," she said, not looking up. "Just work stuff," I muttered. Her knife paused. "Work doesn't make you flinch when your phone rings." I froze. She smiled faintly, set the knife down, and turned to me. "Ethan, if there's something I should know, tell me now. I can handle it. I always do." The way she said it, steady, almost gentle, made me feel cornered. I wanted to tell her everything. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in and kissed her, hoping that would be enough. Her lips tasted like wine and quiet victory. "Good," she whispered. "No more secrets." But secrets have a way of festering. A week later, I found myself parked outside a small cafe downtown. My hands shook as I typed. "Okay. Let's talk." 1 hour. Lena replied instantly, "Thank you." When I saw her, it was like no time had passed and all the time in the world had. Her hair was shorter, her eyes tired but kind. She smiled nervously. You came. I didn't know what to say. I shouldn't have left the way I did, she said quickly. You didn't deserve that. I panicked, Ethan. My parents, they thought you weren't good enough, and I let them get in my head. I told myself I was protecting you from their judgment, but really, I was protecting myself. I studied her face, searching for the lie. But there wasn't one. Just regret. I thought you'd hate me, she whispered. I did, I admitted. For a while. Her eyes watered. And now. Now. That word carried so much weight. Because now, I am engaged. Now, I had someone who claimed to love me fiercely. But sitting across from Lena, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, softness. Not the suffocating kind Mara wrapped me in. Something gentler. We talked for an hour. She told me about her new job, her failed relationships, her therapy. I told her I was engaged, though the word felt foreign in my mouth. Lena smiled sadly. She must be amazing, whoever she is. I hesitated before answering. She is. It wasn't a lie. Just not the whole truth. When we parted, she touched my hand. I'm glad you're happy, Ethan. Really. I just needed you to know, it wasn't lack of love that made me leave. Her touch lingered long after she walked away. I sat in my car, staring at the steering wheel, wondering why my chest felt heavier instead of lighter. That night, Mara was waiting when I got home. Her tone was casual, too casual. Traffic must have been bad. You're late. Yeah. Lost track of time. She studied me, smile never reaching her eyes. You smell like coffee. I stopped at a cafe. With someone? My throat tightened. No. I just needed air. She didn't respond. Just walked up, slid her hand behind my neck, and whispered, Don't ever lie to me, Ethan. I'd know. Then she kissed me, slow, deliberate, like sealing a pact I hadn't agreed to. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Lena's apology, Mara's control, and how somewhere in between them, I'd lost myself. Was Mara protecting me? Or was she protecting her hold over me? I didn't know yet. But for the first time since we'd met, I started to wonder what love would feel like if it wasn't wrapped in fear. I should have known Mara would find out. She always did. A few days after meeting Lena, the air in our apartment shifted. Nothing obvious, just quieter, heavier. Mara hummed while cooking, smiled at all the right moments, but her eyes lingered on me too long, her touch too deliberate. That Thursday, she told me she'd made dinner plans. Just a small get-together, she said, her tone light. You've been stressed. I thought it might help. When I asked who was coming, she just smiled. You'll see. The smile should have warned me. That evening, she wore red, deep crimson, the color of confidence and blood. She cooked my favorite meal, set the table with candles, and soft music. Everything is perfect. Too perfect. Sit, she said sweetly, pouring me a glass of wine. You deserve a little surprise. The doorbell rang. When I opened it, my heart stopped. Hi, Ethan, Lena said, clutching her purse like a shield. Behind me, Mara's voice sang out from the kitchen, invite her in, love. My throat went dry. Mara, what is this? She appeared in the doorway, her smile flawless. You didn't think I'd let something this important go unaddressed, did you? Lena looked confused, but followed me inside. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Mara gestured to the table. Dinner's ready. I hope you both brought your appetites. We sat. The candles flickered, shadows dancing on the walls. Mara moved gracefully, serving food, pouring wine, asking small questions with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "So, Lena," she said casually, "I hear you and Ethan had quite the history." Lena hesitated. "We did. For a long time." Mara's voice purred. "And now you want him back." The words sliced through the air. I flinched, Lena's face went pale. "I didn't say that," she stammered. "I just wanted to talk." "Of course," Mara interrupted smoothly. "Closure is healthy. I'm sure it's not awkward at all to meet your ex's fiancé for dinner." The sarcasm was sugar-coated, but lethal. "Mara," I began. She held up her hand. "No, it's fine. I'm actually curious." Her gaze locked on Lena. "Why now? After all this time?" Lena swallowed hard, glancing at me before answering. "Because I realized what I lost. I was scared before. My family didn't approve of Ethan. They said he wasn't ambitious enough. I believed them." Her eyes softened. "But I was wrong. You were good to me, Ethan. The best thing I ever had. I thought maybe." "That's touching," Mara said, her smile widening. "But he's mine now. And I take care of what's mine." The word mine hung in the air like a curse. Lena's hands trembled slightly. "You don't own him." Mara's laugh was soft, low. "Don't I? You had your chance, dear. You let him go. I picked up what you broke." Something inside me twisted. "Enough, Mara." She looked at me, her expression cooling like metal hardening. "You think I'm being cruel, but I'm just being honest. You deserve honesty, don't you?" Lena rose from her chair. "This was a mistake. I shouldn't have come." Before she could leave, Mara's voice dropped, calm, deliberate. "You didn't tell him, did you?" Lena froze. "Tell me what?" I asked. Mara's eyes gleamed. "Oh, this is interesting. She never told you why she really left." "Mara, stop," Lena whispered. "But Mara didn't. She thought you cheated on her, Ethan. Isn't that right, Lena?" My heart kicked against my ribs. "That's not true," I said automatically. Lena's eyes filled with tears. I thought you did. Someone messaged me. Send screenshots of you texting another girl. Said you'd been bragging about it." I stared at her, disbelief turning into nausea. "What? I never, who would even?" "Me," Mara said simply. The world went still. I turned toward her, sure I'd misheard. "What did you just say?" She leaned back, crossing her legs, her tone almost playful. "It was me. I made those messages. You were wasting your life pining after her, and she was too cowardly to face you. So I helped you both see the truth faster." "You lied," I breathed. "You destroyed us." Mara tilted her head. "Destroyed? No. I saved you. Look at you now, you're stronger, more successful. Happy. Happy." My voice cracked. "You manipulated my life, Mara." Her expression didn't falter. "I corrected its course." Lena stood frozen near the door, tears streaming down her face. "You're insane." Mara smiled politely. "Maybe. But he's here, isn't he? You left him to rot. I rebuilt him." I felt something inside me fracture. The walls of the apartment, the same walls that once felt safe, seemed to close in. "Mara," I whispered, "you had no right." She rose from her chair, slow and graceful. "I had every right. You were lost, Ethan. I found you. I gave you purpose." "You lied to me," I said, barely recognizing my own voice. "You made me think she didn't love me. You made me depend on you." Her expression softened, almost tender. Isn't that what love is? Dependence? Lena shook her head, backing away. You're sick. Mara turned to her, smile still fixed. You shouldn't throw stones, darling. You abandoned him because your parents told you to. I just made sure he never forgot what real loyalty looks like. The tension broke. Lena grabbed her purse and ran out the door, her sobs echoing down the hallway. When the door slammed, silence filled the space like smoke. I stared at Mara. She looked utterly composed. You planned all of this, I said quietly. She stepped closer, resting her hand on my chest. Of course. You need to see the difference between people who leave and people who stay. Her hand lingered over my heart, possessive. I will stay. I pulled back. You control. Her eyes darkened. Call it what you want, Ethan. You're mine now. You know it. You feel it. I shook my head, stepping away from her. I don't even know who you are. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You know exactly who I am. I'm the one who loves you enough to never let you go. And she meant it. That was the worst part. That night, after she went to bed, I sat in the dark living room, trying to breathe. My phone buzzed, Lena's name again. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I just sat there, staring at the glow of the screen, realizing that everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and truth had been rewritten by the same hand that now held me captive. Mara murmured my name from the bedroom, half asleep, like a lullaby. And I realized with terrifying clarity, her love wasn't a gift. It was a cage, and she'd built it so perfectly that I hadn't noticed the lock until now. After that night, something inside me switched off. I didn't scream, didn't fight, didn't even ask her why again. There was no point. Mara had built her reality so carefully that arguing with her was like shouting into a mirror. So I stopped shouting. I smiled when she smiled. I held her hand in public. I told her I loved her. And somewhere beneath the act, my mind began to move again, quietly, methodically. It wasn't rage anymore. Rage burns out fast. This was something colder. Cleaner. Mara thought she'd broken me. She didn't realize she'd refined me. The morning after dinner, she made pancakes like nothing happened. She hummed while cooking, hair tied up, her back turned to me. Sleep okay? She asked without looking up. Like a baby, I lied. She smiled. Good. I hate when we fight. We hadn't fought. She detonated my past, and I'd watched her light the match. That week, she started talking about our engagement party again, her big moment. She was a rising star at her PR firm, known for her flawless reputation and carefully crafted brand of empowerment. Everything about her screamed control, presentation, perfection. And that's where I found the first crack. She had built her world on image. So that's where I'd destroy her. I started small. While she was at work, I went through her office drawers, the ones she thought I never touched. She kept a second phone there, her work line. Password protected, of course. But Mara had taught me something about patterns. She reused numbers. Birthdays, anniversaries. And she'd once joked that she used my birthday for everything important. When the lock screen slid open, I actually laughed. Inside were archives of messages, old fake profiles, chat logs, screenshots she'd used to manipulate Lena years ago. I scrolled through them, my stomach tightening with every click. She'd planned every detail, the fake friend accounts, the staged conversations, even photos she'd doctored to make it look like I was flirting with someone else. It was all there. Every lie. Every string she'd pulled. I copied everything to a flash drive and put the phone back exactly as I found it. For the first time in months, I felt the faint pulse of control returning to me. I tried to contact Lena again. I needed her to see the truth, to know that everything she believed about me had been a fabrication. She answered my call, but her voice was brittle. "Ethan, please don't. I can't do this again. Lena, just listen." I did listen. And it hurts. Whatever that woman did or didn't do, it doesn't matter now. I'm done being caught between you two. Her voice cracked before she hung up. I sat there, phone against my ear, staring into nothing. So that was it. No forgiveness. No closure. Just silence. Fine. I didn't need anyone's forgiveness. I just needed balance. For weeks, I played the role perfectly. Mara never suspected a thing. I posted engagement photos, captioned them with her favorite quotes about love and partnership. We attended events together, her arm looped through mine, her smile wide and perfect for the cameras. She started trusting me again, too much. At night, she'd curl against me, whispering plans for our future. "Once the engagement party's over, we'll move to a bigger place. Somewhere with a view. You'll love it." "I'm sure I will," I'd murmur. Every time she spoke, I memorized her patterns, the way she deflected, the tone she used when lying. I studied her like she had once studied me. And I learned. One evening, I asked about her firm's big upcoming campaign, some glossy initiative about transparency in relationships and leadership. She laughed, proud. "It's my brainchild," she said. "We're calling it the Truth Project. It's all about authenticity. No masks. No masks." The irony nearly made me choke. I knew then what had to be done. Her career was everything to her. It was her shield, her crown, her religion. If I could show the world who she really was, the lies, the manipulation, the obsession, it would destroy her far more completely than walking away ever could. So I started collecting everything, her messages, emails, social posts, and the carefully worded press materials she was drafting for the Truth Project. I didn't just want to expose her. I wanted to use her own creation to do it. But revenge, I learned, is delicate work. One mistake and the whole illusion collapses. Mara began to sense something. She'd watched me a little too long, her head tilted. "You've been quiet lately," she'd say. "Just tired. You're hiding something again." I'd smile. "You'd know if I was." Sometimes, I caught her watching me at night, eyes open, expression unreadable. Once, I woke to find her deleting files from her laptop. When I asked, she said she was clearing space. That was when I realized she was cleaning up. She'd started to suspect I'd found something. So I adapted. I mirrored her. I became her reflection, organized, cautious, predictable. I let her believe she was still the puppeteer. When she told me what to wear, I wore it. When she dictated my schedule, I followed it. I even started using her phrasing, "we, ours, together." And it worked. She relaxed again. She'd kiss me before leaving for work and say, "See? I knew you'd come back to me." I'd smile. "You were right, as always." Inside, I was cold stone. By then, my plan was fully formed. Mara's firm was hosting their biggest annual gala, a launch event for the Truth Project, live-streamed, attended by every major client and journalist. She'd be the keynote speaker. It would be perfect. I reached out to one of her firm's interns through a private account. A quiet kid named Asha who admired Mara but didn't like her. I offered her information, proof that the empowerment queen wasn't who she claimed to be. At first, she didn't believe me. So I sent her a few files, screenshots, audio clips of Mara's manipulative conversations with clients. Just enough to plant doubt. Asha bit. We began working together discreetly. She'd help me get the media presentation file access for the event. I'd give her the rest of the material when it was time. Still, the closer the date came, the tenser Mara became. Her instincts were sharp, and she started watching me again. One night, she asked, "You'd never betray me, would you?" The way she said it, soft, intimate, almost pleading, made something twist in my chest. I forced a smile. "Never." She kissed me, whispering, "Good. Because I'd never forgive you." There were setbacks. She caught me once going through her briefcase. I covered it quickly, saying I was looking for her charger. She stared at me for a long time before laughing it off, but her eyes stayed cold for days afterward. Another time, she accidentally found the flash drive I'd hidden under my desk. I told her it was work stuff. She said she believed me, but the next morning, it was gone. I panicked, until I realized she'd only moved it. She wanted to remind me she still could. It was a warning shot. So I waited. Waited until the very last night before the event to finalize everything. I stayed up late, pretending to edit photos for our engagement announcement, while secretly creating a new file folder on her laptop titled Truth Project, Final Media. Inside, I replaced her presentation slides with mine, the real truth. Screenshots of her fake profiles. Messages she sent to Lena. Recordings of her belittling clients and manipulating coworkers. And, at the end, a photo of her and me, smiling, happy, captioned. The face of authenticity. The morning of the event, Mara was radiant. She wore white, like purity personified. She kissed me before stepping onto the stage, whispering, "This is our beginning, Ethan." I smiled back. Yes. Our truth. Inside, I was calm. Too calm. Because I wasn't doing this for closure anymore. I was doing it for clarity. For balance. For once, she wouldn't get to script the story. I watched her walk toward the spotlight, confident and composed, ready to tell the world the truth. She had no idea that this time, she was about to choke on it. The ballroom was a cathedral of glass and gold. Cameras everywhere. Laughter that didn't reach anyone's eyes. Mara stood at the center of it all, luminous beneath the chandeliers, shaking hands with people who adored her carefully edited version of the truth. "Remember to smile," she murmured to me as a photographer approached. "They love a devoted fiancé." I smiled. Always. She didn't notice that the USB drive in my pocket felt heavier than the ring on my finger. The evening moved like a script she'd written, until it didn't. She gave her keynote first, a polished 20-minute sermon about honesty and empowerment. Every sentence gleamed. Every applause break timed to perfection. When she finished, she turned to me and said into the mic, "And none of this would be possible without the man who believed in me. Ethan, come say a few words." Exactly as planned. I walked up, adjusted the mic, pretended my hands trembled with nerves instead of anticipation. "I just want to toast the woman who taught me everything I know about the truth," I said. Applause. Flashbulbs. Behind us, the giant screen flickered to life, the first slide appearing, our story. A montage of photos, smiles, vacations, hand-in-hand moments, rolled by. The audience cooed. Mara's hand found my back in that possessive way of hers. Then the second slide appeared. A screenshot of a message thread. Her fake profile. The one that had destroyed my relationship with Lena. Murmurs rippled through the room. Another slide. And another. Dozens of messages, timestamps, her words laid bare in black and white. "He'll believe you. He's desperate enough." Mara's smile froze. "Sorry," I said lightly into the mic, "wrong file." Must be all that transparency we're celebrating. Gasps, phones lifted, whispers colliding in the air. Someone shouted for the tech team, but the slideshow kept rolling, doctored photos, client recordings, every manipulation she'd ever hidden. Mara moved toward the podium, whisper hissing, "Turn it off." I leaned closer so only she could hear. This is your truth project, remember? Her mask cracked. You don't know what you're doing. I do, I said. Exactly what you taught me. Security guards pushed through the crowd as the final slide appeared, the engagement photo of us smiling, captioned, "The face of authenticity." The room erupted, journalists firing questions, flashes strobing like gunfire. Mara lunged forward, nails biting into my arm, voice low enough for only me. You'll always be mine. I smiled, steady, cold. You taught me well, didn't you? Cameras caught that moment, the poised man and the fallen queen locked in their final tableau. Then security moved between us. She didn't fight, she simply straightened, face pale but perfect, as they led her out through the sea of flashing lights. The last thing I saw before the doors closed was her eyes, calm again, almost proud. Like a teacher watching her best student finally pass the test. It's been 6 weeks since the night everything burned down. The news cycles feasted on her. PR queen exposed as manipulator. The truth project that lied. Her face was everywhere, her downfall dissected, memed, devoured. I watched it all in silence. No satisfaction. No pity either. Just stillness. Mara's firm dropped her within hours. Sponsors followed. Her social pages vanished. For someone who lived for the spotlight, she disappeared faster than a whisper. Lena moved out of the city a week later. She sent one last message, no anger, no warmth. I just hope you find peace. Peace. Funny words. My apartment is quiet now. Too quiet sometimes. I keep the curtains half closed, the lights low. Most days I work, eat, and sleep. Routine is clean. Predictable. Safe. But at night, I catch myself replaying the moment the projector flickered, her smile freezing, her voice still smooth even as the walls collapsed. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just looked at me, and in that look was a kind of pride. Maybe she knew this was how it would end. Maybe she wanted it that way. On my desk, the engagement ring glints under the dim light. I haven't been able to throw it away. It's not love anymore, it's something else. A reminder, maybe. I turn it over between my fingers, the metal cold, perfect, unbending. She said I was hers forever. She was right, because every time I outthink someone now, I hear her voice smiling in my head.